The idea for the College of Creation, this new playtest option for bards, is that bards have these myths about the song of creation, a song that many of them believe is what called a lot of the D&D multiverse into being. And so the bards of the College of Creation focus on just a few notes of that cosmic song to create little musical notes of potential that can be used to help people, to use a little bit of that song to give temporary life to inanimate objects, and then when they get high enough level, use a little bit of that song to actually call various items into being out of thin air. So this is a subclass all about manipulating reality in a somewhat whimsical way. Part of our influence here, and this, as many of our recent Unearthed Arcanas, was sort of a concept I had, and then I'll go to a member of the team and say, hey, please run with this. And so in this case, our designer, Ben Petrosor, ran with it, taking some inspiration from different stories of magical musicians who might play music and or cast spells to cause various household items to dance or to clean. We have different spells in the game that already do a little bit of this, but we thought, wouldn't it be fun to really lean into this for the bard and create an entire subclass that is about this. This is the subclass where if you want to ride into battle on a 4-poster bed, you can do that. Because, when you get...
It's a bed knobs and broomsticks reference.
It is indeed. And you can do that because once you get the feature that allows you to animate a large or smaller object, well, that object could be, a table, a 4-poster bed, something else. This is all about coming up with some really whimsical but also very functional things. So I think this subclass is going to appeal to people who like coming up with very unusual solutions to problems and do it in ways that will probably often cause their group to laugh. Now, the subclass also has some nice baseline functionality in its very first feature, where you have these 3 different notes of potential from the Song of Creation that you can use to boost your bardic inspiration, so that when you give somebody bardic inspiration, you can also give them with it one of these magical notes from the Song of Creation, which essentially gives a kicker to the bardic inspiration. It gives it a little oomph, and you basically decide if you're going to pick the note that causes the bardic inspiration to have a more destructive bent. You can pick one where there's a more defensive bent, and then there's another one that helps you just make skill checks in general, ability checks rather, in general. So we also wanted to make sure there were options both in combat and outside combat.
The capstone ability, is it the capstone ability where you can just create anything?
Yes. Yeah, there are some limits in terms of size and the value of the item. And in the feature, we point you to a number of the item tables in the player's handbook just to show you the amazing array of things that you could create with this. But you're not even limited by what's on those lists. As long as you follow, the value limitation and the size limitations, you can call all sorts of things into being. You could create a little bridge to go over a chasm. If your buddy needs a suit of armor, well, you harness the Song of Creation, bam, they have a suit of armor. Oh, darn it, we lost our sword. Well, here's a sword. All sorts of amazing options. You're at the side of a river. Oh my gosh, how do we get across? Well, the bard sings, now we have a boat, and we can row across. So this is the person who can just sing into being the item that your group needs.
I expect the illusionist will not like this character. He's going to be a little bit more upset that it's real. I immediately thought of an Acme weight.
Yes. Yep.
Brought into being right above the enemy's head. That's where I'm like, ooh, this is really fun for a player, but like as a DM, I'm like, okay, I gotta wrap my head around this.
So we actually made sure to hedge out the possibility of weaponizing the creation of objects, which is why the feature specifies the object has to appear on a surface or in a liquid that is capable of supporting it.
Oh, okay.
Because we knew otherwise this was just going to be I create a marble statue above you and it crushes you.
Or like 100 knives are above you
Yeah.
and they just all fall onto the enemy.
Yeah.
That's got a lot of utility.
Now you could certainly create something and then use your other feature to animate it or cast the animate object spell.
Right, good point.
So you still have many ways to weaponize the thing you've created. Just the act of creation itself.
Right.
We've made it so you can't weaponize.
Make a giant iron golem as an action. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's terrifying.
Yeah. Well, it would be
basically 2 actions.
A statue essentially that looks like an iron golem.
And then you animate it, and then not technically a real iron golem.